We are talking to the amazing Simpson Protocol practitioners that have told their story and their client stories in this book, Simpson Protocol from the Inside. Case studies, insights, and observations from the people who use the SP process on a daily basis. So today we're talking to Helena Souza, and she's the SP trainer for Portugal. So, hello, Helena.
Hi, Nish. How are you?
Now, Helena, you came from a corporate background and you took NLP first in hypnosis
Yes, that's
with
how
Richard
I
Bandler.
started.
Can you tell us a little bit about that background?
Yeah, well, I took a chemical engineering course, which I didn't really identify with. And then I started a corporate career in the internet, services for the internet. But I've always been interested in psychology. And I just didn't took psychology, I think, because what I heard was that people went to therapy and, just spend years and years
Yeah,
and didn't have much of an evolution. And so that's not, I like to do things and to achieve things and to have results. And so psychology, as the way it was described to me, it didn't really appeal at that time. And then while I was working in my corporate job, I heard about NLP. I read a book about it, and then I thought, this is interesting. This seems to have quick results. And so that's when I decided to take a training with Dr. Richard Bandler. So I went to London, and I think it was not really known in Portugal at that time.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was really, at least for me, it was the first time I heard about it. And I didn't know any trainings in Portugal, so I decided to go for it. And I really enjoyed it.
And then we met during one of the SP trainings in the COVID lockdown.
Yeah.
So tell me about that and what you did and what you thought of it and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, during COVID lockdown, we all had more time, more free time, right?
We also were getting used to the internet, having online stuff. It really brought us into the right space.
Yeah. And so I think I watched, I don't know, it was like a convention, online convention of hypnosis or something like that. And I watched your presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, this is interesting. This is very different from traditional hypnosis that I learned because I studied, after doing NLP, I studied with the London College of Clinical Hypnosis. And it had been a while, and I was doing my corporate job at the same time as I was taking clients in my free time. But I thought that this would be a good opportunity to gain new skills and to watch how to work online. Because at that time you had started to do trainings online, right?
Yeah. That was well trained. I found that it was so much better than live. The training for me was way better. The students were all watching you instead of talking.
Yeah. You get
what
less
did you have for
distraction.
lunch today? And I had this and then and it was all that where everything was focused on you.
Mm-hmm.
So I really got the training, and then you make questions, you guys, questions. Doesn't matter if they have the what if questions, which that I don't like. But the what if questions usually aren't ever going to show up.
The training online was very efficient, to be honest. Yeah. Like you said.
Yeah.
Because it was very focused. We knew what to do. We had the demos. We had practice. So I think.
Yeah, I thought it was really good too. What did you think of SP as your first impact you'd heard me talk about it,
Mhm.
and then you jumped in and you had the training. So what did you think?
I thought it was well, it was very different from everything that I've seen before. I thought it was very efficient in the way that I really liked the idea of having just setting up the triggers and on following
Yeah,
on second session and third sessions, I could like put the person on the same deep state, it's like half a minute or something like that.
yeah,
So it seemed very, very efficient to me and very complete at the same time
yeah.
because it addressed so much more than other hypnosis techniques, very
And
holistic.
since then, it's even evolved. It has continued to evolve. And that's what we like about it because it evolves even now,
Yeah,
right?
I actually kind of like to think SP as a methodology, as a
Mhm.
framework, because it's very flexible, isn't it? You can
It's
make
really
it,
flexible for
yeah.
it. You get to practice with your own little bit of your personality. Everything is
Mhm.
in it.
Yeah, and whatever the client brings, we can so easily adapt and use
Yeah,
SP for it. Yeah, it's just like a methodology in which you can adapt to everything. In the book, I shared a client that I had, which was very dear to me. She was 11 year old, 11, and so I was doubtful whether SP would work for her because she was still not even adolescent, so
yeah.
she was still a child. So
But we
uh,
do it all the time for children, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and I was
So
kind of working. Maybe I should work through her mother, but I decided to try it out with her and have a talk with her, and I found out that she was already pretty mature, I think, for her age,
yeah,
and she was very easy to talk to, and she was like extremely afraid of being at home, extremely afraid because her grandmother had her house robbed, and she was beaten, and actually at her own home she they were robbed as well 2 years ago, 2 years before that, and so she was, when her grandmother came to live with them for that period, she it's like everything came back to her again, like the big fear that she would that something like that would happen to her family or to her, and so she was like very, very afraid. She wouldn't go to her room by her own, and she actually developed type 1 diabetes.
yeah,
Yeah, um, just after that, and so it was a very, very difficult time for her mom and for her family, and so her mom um, reached out to me in order to see what I could do with her, and it was really interesting to see her, the evolution that because we explored the reasons why she was feeling that way, and whatever in the environment would could make her feel safer, and we even had to work with stuff around her dad, um, and after the 4 sessions, I believe that we did. I think we did whole four sessions. She actually told her mom, I don't need this anymore. I'm happy. I'm good. I'm done. I'm not afraid anymore. So it was really, really nice to see her evolution.
yeah. So the 11-year-old, she was, I mean, we always do children now anyway. We have done it for a long time. But for someone who was maybe you had thought was 11 years old and maybe immature, she did a real good job.
Yeah, she did a great job.
Yeah, that's
it
really
was a really good surprise to me to understand that SP can even work with children as young as that. Well, I think what's most different about SP is also the fact that it's so holistic, because it integrates all levels of our existence.
Yeah.
Really, it's the physical, the mental, the spiritual, the soul, everything together, right? And so it addresses so many of the things that that traditional hypnosis doesn't even touch.
When people ask me about that, they don't want to do the spiritual, or they don't want to do the mental or anything. I say, well, why wouldn't you do that? Because a person is made up of all those things. So aren't they part of the issue? They'll always be part of the issue. So even when you're doing regular hypnosis and you're doing just where you're going one, you're looking at something and you're only doing one thing of it, this doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, maybe sometimes we're just working on the emotional level or the mental level, working on fixed beliefs, right?
Yeah.
And here we're able to integrate all that.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to work with the whole person.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
It's very interesting that sometimes that it's not difficult to get results on a first session with clients. That's what I also like about SP. I have had several examples of happening that way. Even very, very recently, I had a stop smoking session, and it was done. One session, and it was done. It was not even a very long session. And I even had I remember another client that I had recently, and he only had like an hour. And, SP usually, the first session, I usually take a little bit more time in order to do, I take longer with the client, but he only had 1 hour. And so I only really had to be very efficient and to do a session with what the client brought to me. And later on, he really, he got back to me, and he said that he was really impressed with the results because he was like overworking. He was not having any free time for himself. He was not having any work-life balance.
Yeah.
And over just this one SP session, he had changed completely his schedule. So he was getting up earlier. He was doing the pieces of things that he wanted to do in order to have like doing sports, doing meditation, and then maybe cutting down on some of the other things that were not really
necessary in the work.
Much. Before, he was working very hard, and so he got very tired at the end of the day. And by having completely rescheduled everything, organized his schedule, he was able to have more time, to do what he really liked to do, and it was a very, very efficient session. It was like not even an hour session.
And that's very good.
But I think he was very, very committed. So
yeah, that's what you want for sure. This commitment, you want the desire. The desire has to be. It's people don't have the thought of what they desire. They don't always know what they want. You have to sort of say, well, the superconscious will pick the first, session, so you don't have to worry about it. But if you do think about it, and intend what you like the outcome to be. I can even ask superconscious to change something they had never thought of. Are you able to do it? Not necessarily can you do it, because are you able to do this? Yes or no?
Yeah. And maybe even if they don't have their everything clarified in their mind, we can even ask superconscious minds as a starter to help them clarify
to clarify their intention.
Because that's the main thing in order to achieve a good result, isn't it?
And the main thing, if they're not very they fight themselves. They fight themselves. I've had clients like that, and I've got them to stop fighting like that, because I stopped them and talk to them and talk about that, and they go, well, how do you know I was doing that? Well, it's quite obvious why they were doing that, but
and many times clients come and they don't know what the outcome.
No, they don't know what it is that
they want.
They can't.
They just know that they're not happy. And so we, in those cases, we actually need to help them reach an outcome, right?
Yeah, it only takes a few minutes, but
they have to decide
and they realize what they have to put in, and they have to work, because they're doing it, not us. How hypnosis is regarded in Portugal?
I think there's a market for hypnosis in Portugal. People, I don't think it's something that people, of course, there are people that really don't believe, and
there's a percentage of those.
Yeah. But I think there are people that are already looking into hypnotherapy as a way to solve their problems. And they usually, they've been through, they go to a psychologist, and they always go first to a psychology, to be honest. And until they find out that it's not working out, it's not solving their problems. And so I think as a last resource, they look for a hypnotherapy.
So thank you, Helena, for chatting to me about your book experiences and everything, the experiences with SP. And thank you for being an SP trainer, helping expand the SP world. So let's say goodbye.
Thank you so much, Inês.